Air travel is truly amazing. Because of it, it's easier than ever before to see the world and all its incredible cultures. But just because you're on a plane doesn't mean there aren't rules, and if you break them, there can be dire consequences. So, from turning off airplane mode to climbing into the overhead compartments, get ready for some things you should absolutely never do on an airplane.
Enjoy watching. Let's go!
Batteries. How would you react if I told you your phone could erupt into flames anytime you take it on a plane with you? At least, if it has a lithium battery, and it probably does. Lithium batteries are inside all sorts of everyday devices, including phones, laptops, and cameras. If you bring any of these on board with you, airlines will highly encourage you, and sometimes require you to keep them in your hand luggage, not in your main luggage. Okay, but why? Well, lithium batteries are extremely sensitive to high temperatures, as well as being incredibly flammable. Not a great combo. They're highly unlikely to randomly combust, but malfunctions do sometimes happen. And because planes have drier air than the outside atmosphere, if anything does catch fire, it'll spread much faster. Now, if a fire takes hold in the cabin, it's bad. Unless you put it out fast, smoke could rapidly fill the enclosed space, whilst the fire itself damages the aircraft and potentially burns the passengers. But at least the crew have a chance to deal with it before it gets out of hand. Back in 2018, a power pack overheated and caught fire in the overhead compartment on one flight to Shanghai. Because it was in someone's hand luggage, staff quickly threw water on it and put it out. If that same fire had happened in the hold though, well, nobody could have reached it, and it would have got a whole lot worse. So, yeah, don't put your phone in your main luggage unless it's safely turned off. The only fire that should be allowed on a flight is my rap mixtape. Word. Flying flu. My grandma always used to tell me, a bit of dirt will do you good, young girl, and maybe she was right, to a degree, but I don't think that saying applies to airplanes. Plane cabins are compact, enclosed spaces, with loads of people crammed into them, and a limited supply of air in circulation, air that everybody is breathing in and out and passing to one another. They do have filter systems to get rid of airborne germs, but they're not 100% efficient. There are air vents above every seat too. However, if you're anything like me, you turn those straight off so it doesn't get too cold. Well, you shouldn't. By leaving the vent open, fresh air is channeled in from outside, increasing airflow, pushing bacteria out of your vicinity, kind of like a little force field. So, if you get cold, trust me, instead of closing the vent, just slip on a sweater. Vents open, force field up. Mr. Sulu. It's German time. Alright, so we know flight attendants have found some truly gross things on board planes, and we also know that germs can run rampant within the enclosed space of the cabin. With that in mind, would you take your socks off and walk around barefoot? I mean, the floors have probably seen vomit, poop, and all sorts of unmentionable goo. You'd have to be crazy, right? Well, apparently some people are that crazy. And even worse, they shove their dirty feet in other people's faces. I can't think of anything grosser than turning round and seeing these toad monstrosities poking through beside me. Like, seriously, doing that isn't just nasty, it's also super unhygienic. But not that barefoot warriors are the only germ spreaders you might encounter. One unfortunate vacationer found themselves sat behind this. Why? Is all I want to know. I'd be tempted to give that hair a hard tug if it didn't look so dirty, though it's probably still cleaner than the in-flight blankets airlines sometimes provide. Apparently, there's rarely enough time to clean all of them between flights, so they're often reused. Yuck! No matter how much hand sanitizer you lather on, if you've got a snotty, drool-covered blanket draped over you, you're still gonna have a butt-ton of germs to deal with. And if staff don't have time to clean the blankets, do you think they had time to clean the windows? Well, I sure don't. So avoid leaning your head on those too. They might not look dirty, but bacteria are microscopic, and while you snooze against the window, they could be multiplying all over your face. Alright, you're probably sick of hearing about gross stuff now, but I've saved the most outrageous for last. This woman was caught drying her underwear with the air vents. Faith in humanity officially lost. Oil shorts. My last vacation got off to a poor start. I'd only just boarded the plane when the flight attendant told me I had to take off my Batman costume or leave. It turns out airlines have dress codes. What's more, different airlines have different codes, and these can change depending on the country you're flying to. Geez, confusing or what? See, some countries, like Indonesia, are predominantly Muslim, and as such dress more conservatively than other places. So if you're flying there, it's polite to cover up before getting on the plane. But it's worth looking into clothing guidelines before getting on any flight. Dirty, torn, or revealing clothes can breach codes and get you kicked off the plane, which makes sense. But sometimes so can things as benign as flip-flops. Seriously.
Let's go!
Back in July 2021, Turkish bodybuilder Deniz Saypenar made headlines when she tried to board an American Airlines flight to Miami. Apparently, her shorts were too short, so she was duct taped to one of the chairs and left there. Okay. Not really. She was just denied entry onto the plane. Somebody actually was duct taped to a seat for a very different reason, but you'll have to stick around to find out about that. Anyway, after being refused onto the plane, Saypenar was understandably upset and took to social media to vent her frustrations. According to the bodybuilder, she wasn't dressed offensively at all, and the whole thing was an attack on her freedoms as a woman. What do you think? Were the airline staff right, or has Saypenar got a good point? Would a man have been refused entry if he was wearing the same outfit? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. No signal. No problem. You've probably heard the horror stories about what'll happen if you don't put your cell phone on airplane mode during a flight. Planes will fall from the sky. Chaos will ensue. Well, you'll be glad to hear that's not quite true. But you should still turn it on. When you do, it blocks the phone from searching for signal. Some pieces of pilot's equipment use the same radio frequencies as cell phones and tablets to function. So when your phone looks for a signal, it can intervene and disrupt them. Think of it like tuning an old-school analog radio. When two stations are on a similar frequency, they can interfere with one another and make the signal unclear. It's the same thing here. And pilots need this equipment to tell how far they are from the ground during takeoff and landing. Pretty important stuff. Indeed, back in January 2017, the pilots of a Boeing 737 lost all of their map displays and computers while they were in flight. Whoa! Miraculously, they managed to get the situation under control and avoid crashing. But investigators reckon someone's cell phone signal could have been to blame. As scary as this whole thing is, no planes have ever actually crashed from cell phone interference, at least not yet. However, it's still a good idea to text your mom after the flight, not during. Hello, this is your captain speaking. Don't even think about putting that phone on airplane mode right now though. Hit those like and subscribe buttons instead. That way, when we land, you'll never miss another amazing video like this one. All done? Okay. Enjoy the rest of your journey, Phantom Flyer. Now, I've been on quite a few flights in my life, and they've all been pretty boring. American actor, Emerson Collins, definitely can't say the same though. In September 2022, Collins was on board a plane when suddenly he started hearing this. And it didn't stop there. Strange, guttural noises carried on for seemingly ages, and at one point, a flight attendant had to announce an apology. Ladies and gentlemen, we realize there's an extremely irritating sound coming over the public announcement. The flight deck is trying to troubleshoot, trying to turn it off, so please be patient with us. We know it's a very odd, and so what the heck is going on? Well, this wasn't the work of some high-flying ghost. Somebody had apparently hacked into the plane's POS system and was pranking everyone on board. How they did this, nobody's sure. But the weird noises went on for the entire flight. If you got caught doing this, I'm sure you could experience some serious legal repercussions. But as far as I'm aware, nobody did get caught, and the mystery remains unsolved to this day. So the main consequence was just annoying the hell out of the captain and cabin crew. Hey, I'm not complaining, I just got a new ringtone. Thanks for watching.
Please like, share, subscribe.